on page 56. Yesterday we spoke about different kinds of compassion that are not financial. The first one was a compassion, a generosity of wisdom. Sorry, not compassion, generosity of wisdom. Somebody wants to learn from me and they're worthy to learn from me and they have a desire to, so I have an obligation to teach them. The second is generosity with religion. Those of Hashem's children who have strayed away, it's our job to go after them. And the first thing that we mentioned was a generosity of influence. If I can put in a good word for somebody, I'm in a power of authority, I'm in a position that I can make something better for someone else, then I have an obligation to also use that generosity for someone else. And therefore, Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam summarizes, והתורה אורה על מידה תרומית זו, the Torah strongly urged us to wake up to this character trait. ועל דרך נעלה זו וקבע לה התקשרויות שונות, and the Torah has established various methods כדי שתושג ותתבסס באופן טבעי בנפשותיהם של שומרי הדת, in order so they may actually become internalized by the Jewish people in a natural fashion. Meaning, the Torah has tried over and over and over again to imbue into us the spirit of generosity. And not just something, oh, I have an obligation to give to the tzedakah, but rather the Torah wants from us that generosity should become a natural part of what it is that we do. And there was a story now, I heard it today. From a rabbi on the East Coast. He says it's true. Okay, let's believe him. He says there were two families that were just making a wedding now, recently. And both of them were rabbis involved in Jewish education. Translate, not very wealthy. And they were coming to do the wedding, and they really decided, listen, we're two families, we know our means, we're not trying to impress anybody, this is what we can do. And as the date of the wedding became closer, the girl's parents came to the boy's parents and said, we really can't even do what it is that we promised we would do. Could you do more? And the father-in-law thought about it and said, I'll go take it. If you really can't do it, I'm going to go take a loan. He went and he borrowed $5,000, which is significant sum for this man. And when his son said, Dad, why are you stretching yourself? He said, you're getting married. This is a good girl, good parents. They're not trying to trick us. I want them to be as calm as they can at the wedding, to be as happy as they can at the wedding. I don't have the money, but if I'm able to borrow it and they're not able to borrow it, I want to do whatever it can do so that you will start off your relationship with your wife and her parents on a good foot, on the right foot. He went out, he borrowed the money, he had no idea how he was going to repay it, but he borrowed. They had the wedding. And he was telling this rabbi his struggles. It's hard financially. He took out more money than he could afford, but he did it to make the other family happy. And he said that week after Shever Brachot, he was hired by an organization to work on a special Jewish education project. And this Jewish education project ended up bringing back to him, the person who was funding the project, paid him up front for the whole 2 years or whatever he was going to be involved in the project, enough money to pay off the wedding in its entirety, not just his part of it, not just the part that he borrowed out, but to pay off the entire wedding. Someone who has trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chesed is over Menu. Chesed surrounds him. I'm not telling you to be in debt. I'm not a fan of this. What I'm saying is, generosity doesn't always go unpunished. Sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes back and helps us out with it. Sometimes you give, not in order to get back. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, you were that vehicle that we spoke about in the past. You were the vehicle that realized that you could bring more tzedakah into the world. I'm going to make sure you have more to be able to do more chesed with. And therefore says Rabbi Avraham, you should know his father has the same exact theme. This is in Moreh Nevuchim. There are some people who look at the mitzvot in the Torah, everything is supernatural, everything is superstitious, everything is deeper than what it meets the eye, everything is, it can't be that that's what the Torah wants from you. The Rambam has an idea that the Torah, mitzvot in the Torah are there to make you a better person. I know it's a fanatical concept, right? The mitzvot are there to make you a better person. And there are times where the Rambam even goes head to head with the rabbis who wrote the Talmud, in order to say their opinion should follow a different opinion, because they were looking at the mitzvah not in the lens of become a better person. And therefore says Rabbi Avraham that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to make these mitzvot, this concept of generosity, natural to us. Everything Hashem commanded us regarding giving gifts to the poor. Pe'ah, what is pe'ah?
Corner.
Yeah, leaving the corners of the fields. Uferet, v'olelot, v'shikha, ma'aser ani, all the ma'asrot and the things that fall, the tithings, all the things we have to give to tzedakah. U'tzedakah, v'halva'an, loaning money. U'matanot kihunan, giving gifts to the kohanim. U'ma'aser levi, and the giving of the tithing to the leviim. Tell me, what does leviim have to do with tzedakah?
Well, they collect. Like the tithes and
they
stuff.
They take it and they also send it on to the.
Why is it
the
considered
Kohanim.
tzedakah to give money to the leviim?
Because they're supposed to be working in the temple.
The Leviim are the Torah scholars we mentioned last night, which are people who are, their job is tasked with the spiritual mission of the Jewish people, and the Jewish people took it upon themselves to give a certain percentage of everything they make to the Torah scholars, the Leviim, the Kohanim, who are running the Beit HaMikdash and who are teaching their children Torah.
Leviim, Kohanim doesn't get.
Kohanim also.
They don't own a portion in the.
They don't have land. And the reason they have land is because they traveled all over. They traveled in order to make the world better, to teach Torah. The Leviim essentially wanted to hire a rabbi. You always called up the tribe of Levi. Said, hey, do you have another one? Send him to us. And this was the job of the Leviim. But part of that meant that the community, the Jewish people on a national level, had to take care of them. And that's why these masot count as tzedakah. וחזר כמה פעמים על הציווי להיטיב עם הלוויים והגרים. How many times the Torah repeats that one should give to the Leviim and to the Gerim, to the converts? ולהעניק לעבד עברי, and to give gifts to the Jewish slave who you free. ושמיטת קרקע, ושמיטת כספים, ודין היובל, and leaving over the land to have a year of rest, and שמיטה היובל, all these laws. כל אלה ודומיהן, all these laws and anything similar to them, hen hitkashruyot, these are preparations, limidat turumid zo ulimidat harachmanut, in order to help you be compassionate and generous. Milvad ma shem hitkashrut limidat haparishut, kmo she'amarnu le'en. How much more so is this connected to the mitzvah of being, not the mitzvah, the concept of being abstinent. Not having everything that you want. Giving some away, leaving some over. So there's many mitzvot that come out of this, many character traits. One is generosity, one is compassion, and one is learning abstinence.
And abstinence is different than the modern.
Yes, he has a whole chapter on what is abstinence.
Abstinence today means not drinking, being celibate, being...
Okay, nachon, so it's not exactly the way we would use this term. Prishut. Prishut means to separate yourself from the needs of this world. Not necessarily in an ascetic way, just in, not, you don't always have to, for example, you're hungry and you want to eat something, that's fine. But to go and eat ice cream, ice cream is not a food. It's not a, it's
pleasure,
not,
article of pleasure.
And so if a person were to say, listen, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to eat my food, I don't think that I need to indulge all the time in desserts, to go get that chocolate cake, the cheesecake, the muffins, the cupcakes. I want to step away from this part of the world. He's allowed to. He's shoot. Yeah, very good. Very good. It's almost become, unfortunately, in the Jewish world that we're all about food. It's all about, who has the best kiddush? Where's the best kosher restaurants? Who's the best kosher caterer? Oh, you're going to the wedding? I want to be invited to that wedding because I heard they're going to have a nice smorgasbord. People have lost their minds. We've lost our whole sense of Judaism.
Like that video.
It's a problem.
That guy with the son of the video with the eating.
Oh yeah, very good. I sometimes have this time at weddings or kiddushim, or I just see people and the food, and it's better to wait. Everyone should take all the food, and whatever the stuff they don't eat left over, you should go and take it. You get big mitzvot.
You anything left over.
People fight and they get.
Yeah, you get these lines, and they're, oh, my plate, and I want that, and I want this. And
Maybe we
so
should-
wait.
That's one of the nicest things about the Kehillat Shaar HaShamayim is that we don't rush a table.
We don't rush at the kiddush.
In the old days, we used to. My poor mother came for bar mitzvah and she got knocked over. Like,
By the
rushing
kid for the
table
kiddush.
Oh my gosh.
This is a problem. But it's a problem. You should know who sees us the most. Very often I've spoken as a mashgiach in the back. I've spoken to the non-Jewish crew that serves the food, that cleans the tables, and they cannot believe it. After
It doesn't
3
happen
hours,
anywhere else.
after 3 hours of praying, these guys come out like locusts, and they push and they shove and they yell and they take plates and they heap them to the heavens and
Cut until
a little bit. What did you just pray 3
take
hours
2
for?
or 3 plates.
Yeah,
take one home.
Take,
You know,
it's a good halakhic question, by the way. If
Or
you
hog the line. They approach and then they stand right there in front of one of the hot items, and then just like keep eating right there. Nobody can get in.
right there.
Are you
That'll
allowed?
happen.
Are you allowed to
do
take
that.
home food from a
They're
bar
blocking
mitzvah
you.
or a wedding? Halakhically, you're not really allowed
Some
to.
people do.
You're not allowed to. You know those
Wow.
people, they walk away with the centerpieces?
You
know that sometimes the
take it by his
centerpieces, they go to the waste. And the host asks you at the end of the evening, please take the centerpieces because they're going to go in the garbage.
10 ventures.
But sometimes people pay or they rent centerpieces, or not all the parts of the centerpieces are theirs. I mean, the flowers were, but the vase belonged to the catering company, and he's going to charge him $96 a vase that he just took from him. And a person is stealing, is walking away from a wedding, a thief. You want to take home food for your wife. This happens a lot. You go to a kiddush. You do it, just go ask. You shouldn't be weird. It's okay, be weird. It's one of the 10 commandments not to steal. Go ask. Hey, listen, would you mind if I took home a plate for my wife? And I'll tell you, in certain communities, they want from the mitzvah food. It's like, the Sudan
Yeah,
mitzvah.
I heard that before.
So some people are really into that. And very often you find your host is really into that. Yeah, of course, take from the challah, take from the salt. I don't know who wants the salt. Who wants the challah? I want the chicken. I don't know, whatever I want for that. but take whatever it is that you want. You have to ask first.
There's no mitzvah to just take it
Watch
without-
what's going on. A person has to know, you go to someone's Shabbat table. And there are some people that you've been to their house before, and they're very generous, and they always put out a lot of food. Sometimes I was once in a house where Erev Shabbat I had to bring somebody, an extra guest. So I called before and I said, I don't know if this guest is coming or not. So you have to tell us in advance. I said, why? Because there won't be food for him. Now, I come from a whole different mentality of like how my mom cooks and my aunts and uncles. It's a different world. But in this family, if there are 7 guests for dinner, there are going to be 7 pieces of fish and 7 pieces of chicken and 7 bowls that they got in the store and 7 of everything, and they don't have room for an 8th. And you really have to make sure. So not everyone's that rigid.
Yeah,
but you
that's
come
how
to
you
someone's
took-
house and you see this is all the dinner that's going to be there tonight,
But if
and
took
you take
1/7
half
of
the
a piece
pan
of
into your
fish,
plate.
7 times you'd have an extra piece of fish.
Very good. If you take half the pan onto your plate, you have to make sure it's really a problem. A person has to have derech eretz, and part of derech eretz is if you're not crazy over food and you break that yetzer inside of you, you eat. You can enjoy eating. I'm not telling you not to enjoy, but break the yetzer of being a locust. Break that yetzer hara, and you'll find out that really your life is so much more calm. You go to Kiddush and you don't care if there's 100 people in front of you in line. You're no longer pressured to make it to the table. You don't even need to wash your hands. And, well, worst comes to worst, you go home and have a sandwich. What's the worst that can happen?
Be a grasshopper. Let them eat you.
Kosher grasshopper, please.
You don't need any place.
That mission of sho shruya b'midat kamtzanut, and you should know that a person who is, the word shruya is soaked. He's absorbed fully of the character trait of being stingy. There are many people who are stingy, and often there's a very high correlation between how much money someone has and how stingy they are. Meaning, the more money they have, very often the stingier they are. Not the other way around.
Kamtzanut.
I found always, even in the Beit Knesset, people who don't have a lot give the most. It's not saying there are not people who have a lot that also give. I'm not ruling it out. But it's generally, and it's everywhere in the world, it's your middle population who does the most. Is would a wealthy person give you a ride in their sports car? Yeah, if he ever bought himself one. Yeah, sometimes they just don't. It's a problem, and there's a world like that. Someone who's stingy, the Torah says, Kinta HaTorah, the Torah gives him a nickname, B'Shem Kofer. He's called a heretic. A Kofer, a non-believer in Hashem.
If you're stingy.
Why? I have a few theories. Why? What do you think? I don't think there's a right answer.
Right there.
I don't know what they're looking for.
Maybe it's our new member landing on the roof.
Oh, well, it's a private helicopter. We'll take members like that. I take it back to the wealthy people. So,
But they
tell me
might be
why a
stingy.
heretic, why a stingy person is a heretic? Why is he being stingy?
He doesn't believe they will get more.
He doesn't think he has enough.
Okay, he doesn't think he has enough, so really he's not grateful for what he has. I would call him ungrateful. A heretic means he doesn't believe in Hashem. Why doesn't he believe in that? What character trait is he showing?
He didn't have that concept.
He's saying, I don't trust that if I give money out, even if I spend it on myself, that Hashem is going to give me more. What are you so afraid of? How many people have died with millions and millions of dollars in their bank account, but their whole life they were penny pinching? Why? They didn't build it. But look, well, they died, and what happened to their money? It went to somebody else. It goes to that son that never spoke to them. It goes to the niece that lived on the other side of the world and visited them twice on her birthday. It goes to all kinds of people. It goes to the cat society. I don't know where it goes to. All kinds of places. Very often it gets confiscated by the government, and people there's no one to claim it. For what? Why did you live a life like that? Because you didn't believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem, Hashem, you have to put your bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem gave me this, He's going to give me more. Not to be wasteful, but not to be stingy.
I have seen here, the father, millions of dollars, he didn't give any money to the daughter. Daughter lived poverty all her life. When he died, she got the money. Most of her life, she didn't see any money.
I saw this recently. I was at a wedding where the father was a wealthy man, but he made his son, who was almost homeless, pay for his own wedding. He went to the wedding. I'm not lying. They were toast. That's a toast with cream cheese was served at the wedding. You see this man with his limousine and his. This is the kind of person he is. There's such people in the world. What does he get from it? Kofir. It's a kofir on the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Believe a little bit more in Hashem. I think also in another way, a person who's not generous also lacks the character trait of Hashem, who is generous. And therefore, like I said, doesn't even have the character trait in the first place, meaning he hasn't yet connected to Hashem on the level that he wants to emulate him. The last sentence, the Ne'emar, it says in the Torah, Yatsu anashim b'nei Belial. Men have come out, they're b'nei Belial. These are heretical people. They've incited other people to worship Avodah Zarah. Ne'emar, Hishamer lecha pen yeh davar im levavecha Belial lemor. Guard yourself lest there be a matter of Belial in your heart. This is referring to lending to somebody else. And over there, the Torah refers to the person who refuses to lend as a kofir, as a heretic. We want to be from the camp of those who emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and for those who believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And like I told you last night, generosity isn't all about money. It's also about what you have. To use your... There's sometimes things that you have that you don't need to give away, but you can lend to other people. How often do I borrow other people's folding chairs? You have an event in the house, you need more folding chairs, and call someone up, they drop off their folding chairs. That every chair that they have, instead of sitting in the garage waiting for their next bar mitzvah party, they're doing a mitzvah with that chair. Sometimes someone asks you for a book, or someone asks you for whatever it is. That do you have some paper plates, or can I borrow a speaker? Or can I?
I
Whatever.
know about books. You're generous with books.
You have to be careful with books. The truth is, you lose books. You know what they say? There's Stematsky's, a bookstore. It's like the Israeli Barnes and Nobles. They have Stematsky, it's called. They have a little bookmark they give you when you have your books. And one of the quotes on their bookmark says, be careful never to lend your books to other people, because they will never give them back to you. And then the man continues, for example, my library is made entirely of books that I never gave back to other people. This is a person to make sure you have to be careful with the things that you have. Sometimes lending somebody money, a trustworthy person, I'm not talking here about a person who has a reputation not to give it back to you. Someone needs money, they're getting paid on the 25th of the month, and right now it's the 20th, and they have a bill they need to pay. And you say, listen, 5 days, take the money, pay me back in 5 days. That money, instead of sitting in your bank account running away, you got mitzvot to lend money. It's the same thing as giving $1,000 worth of tzedakah. $1,000 you lent money. But there's no difference.
If anybody wants to know how good that feels, just let me know I can help out outside.
There was a story now was going around the news. I don't know if it happened now, but it just made it to the news in Israel. about a woman, soldier. She was a young Israeli soldier, maybe 20 something, on the train, riding back home from her army base to her apartment. And she'd gotten a notice that the electric company was shutting off her electricity because she owed them about 2,000 shekels. $500 roughly. 600, something like that. And she calls the number, and the lady on the other end, the operator.
No mercy, we're shutting you off.
So she actually was crying, the operator, on the phone. She's like, maybe we could work out a plan, maybe we can send someone over, maybe you can. She's like, listen, I'm going to have money in a few days. Every penny that I make from the army, I pay the electric company. She says, I just don't have right now to get, I don't have a shekel to my name. And she's on the train in Israel. If you wear your uniform, you ride the train for free. She really didn't have a penny to her name. And I said, well, I can't borrow from your parents. And her mother's a Russian immigrant. She's a single parent. She's the only one she has. She's an old lady. She doesn't have any money to give her. So you can't borrow from anybody. This company on the other hand. So now in the background, the operator is trying to get the other people in the company. Maybe they'll help her out. Maybe they'll pay for it. And they're all busy trying to figure out a plan. Meanwhile, there's a man sitting on the train next to the soldier, and you hear him in the background. There's a recording of the phone call. And he says, can I please take your phone? She says, no, I want to take. He grabs the phone from her, and he says, listen, how much does the soldier owe to the electric company? He says, 1,952 shekels. He says, I'd like to pay it with my credit card. I said, do you know her? He says, I don't know her. I just see a soldier on the train and she's crying, and I want to take care of her. So he gives her the credit card number, he pays her bill in full, and he walks away. Doesn't give her nothing. Just doesn't care. This girl ends up inviting him back. The news put together some kind of reunion between them, and they just saw another person in need. You see the operator's crying her eyes out on the other end of the phone. Someone would pay. And he said, "Mikam Chak Yisrael." This is the story. Who's like the Jewish people? Wow. This is Am Yisrael. This is what we are. And nobody in the story wore a kippah. Don't get. We are people that's supposed to care about each other, and should set this trend for the whole world. There shouldn't be someone who falls down in the street and nobody goes over to pick them up. There shouldn't be somebody who can't make ends meet. There's no one in the world that they can turn to for help. There cannot be such a thing. It can't be. There are so many stories like this that happen every day. Not all of them make it to the news, but this person did a big chesed. This soldier, and the chief of the electric company, he gave a big honor to this operator for being so compassionate, for being caring. So that's a standard that he would appreciate from his staff. And it was a beautiful story. But these things happen all the time. Opportunities like this are in our face all the time. We have to make sure that we'll be that person. That sometimes you have a little bit more, I'll be the one to swipe the card. I'll be the one to help out a little bit. I'll be the one to lend the money until next time. I'll be the one to fix the fence if the guy doesn't have money to hire a handyman. I'll be the one to paint the house. There are people who do this. Pesach, I've seen people. They're normal, they roll up their sleeves and go to someone else's house and paint them. Whatever it could be. Sometimes people need help. They don't always need money. You have a lot of money and you can't hire the right person to come and help you. It's important. We should follow this midah of compassion, the midah of generosity. That's the Torah. That's the path that the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to go down.